Cool. Let's get started. So, hey everyone, thanks for coming to the AGM. It's obviously a big event. I'm curious, and I'm sure everyone's curious to see who the next elected committee will be. First of all, it's great to see so many of you here. And I know guys have got exams coming up and everything, so I appreciate you taking out the time for this. I'm just going to share my screen so we can get started on the presentation. But the way today's going to work is, obviously, we have our hustings, which will be the main elections for today, which everyone's looking forward to. But before we go into that, we're going to be doing a brief overview of our year as committee over the past year and what we've achieved. So yeah, we're going to take some time out to do a brief overview. So yeah,
I was just going to say, just before that, we also wanted to let everyone know that we're going to do the polls on Zoom, and just to check that it's working for everyone. We're just going to have a trial poll. Oh, that hasn't been done yet? Yep, that hasn't been done, and just launching it. And everyone, can you, if there's an issue with you sending the poll result, voting in, let me know. But yeah, let me just relaunch it 1 second. Okay. Okay, votes coming in quick. Nice. Someone's just asked me a question about asking questions, I'm assuming, whether they have to be on the chat or do we have to unmute and speak? Unmute and speak is probably better. I think the best way we will try and do it is if you raise your hand in participant, and from that we will just select them as they come through. So yeah, that is 71 out of 74. There's a few people left, but that's telling me the voting is working fine, which is great. Okay, for the results of our the least important vote. Hope everyone can see oh, actually, wait, let me share. So that's essentially how it's going to work in terms of the voting. And hopefully that makes it clear, but I'll explain it again as well. Yeah, Nish, over to you.
Yeah, of course. Give me a sec. Yeah, so let's get started on. So first of all, obviously, we got newly elected at the end of last Lent term, and then coming into a pandemic, which obviously no one saw coming. It was obviously very difficult initially as we were trying to settle in, first of all. I remember we had our first social at the end of Lent at Byron's, and after that, everyone was stuck at home because term didn't happen in Easter. So it was difficult initially, but I think our committee pulled it together and kind of recovered from that really well. We put on quite a few online events, different kinds. So we had a really successful games night. We had some quizzes, a Netflix party. We even got an ex-Cambridge student to do a cooking class for us. One interesting thing we did was a mental health workshop, which we thought was really relevant, especially given the COVID times, how everyone was kind of shocked by it. We had 2 ex-Cambridge students that were running a mental health workshop, and they were going through especially mental health and how to deal with it, especially giving out different resources during COVID. We obviously do quite a few dance classes with Bollywood troupes, so we kind of started doing that as well. But yeah, that was our Easter, and I think we kind of coped really well with the pandemic as well. Yeah, just before I go to Michaelmas, which was actually my favorite term, I'm sure a lot of you agree as well, for IndieSoc. Over summer, for the international students that were applying to the Indian internationals that got into Cambridge, we did a little Q&A session for them. So we had a panel of postgraduate and international students that were helping out on stuff like travel and things to like find in Cambridge and how to settle in well as well. So I think we got a lot of good feedback from that. So that's something I would definitely recommend for the next committee as well to keep doing. So yeah, let's go to Michaelmas, which was by far my favorite term this year. And obviously before the lockdown came again, we were actually lucky to have a phase of a few weeks where there was some room for in-person events. And I think we utilized that really well. So we took full advantage of that. I'm really glad that we managed to squeeze in 3 great in-person events. First of all, we had a cocktail night, which was done over 2 days because there was so much demand for it, and that was really successful at Revs. We also did a chai brunch at Tiffin Truck, which I thought was really easy to organize, and I thought, it was a nice wholesome vibe as well with nice Indian food. And finally, we also did a family bowling night, and that was the first kind of interaction everyone had with their families. And again, I think that kick-started everyone to start bonding with their families as well, which was really great to see. We also did some other stuff. So we did some online things such as a socializing event for the Indian internationals in collaboration with the Bharatiya Society, which is another society. And we also worked with one of our main sponsors, OCNC, to do a coffee and CV workshop in Michaelmas. So yeah, these were some of the events we did in Michaelmas before the lockdown came into place. Again, we were gutted that the lockdown did come again, the lockdown 2.0. We had some really great events planned for the end of the second half of Michaelmas. But again, we had to adjust and kind of move forward. So we had a range of online events. So Drew kindly did some welfare drop-in sessions at Cafe Narrow. Maheen's aunt actually did a yoga-free session, which was really cool as well. And this was our first interaction with NISA, which is the National Indian Students and Alumni Union. And they're kind of UK-wide, and they work with a lot of Indian societies. So during the Diwali week, they were doing a games night, and we took part in that. Some of our teams participated as well, so that was really good. And yeah, finally we took part in another dance class in collaboration with Troop. So yeah, I think what we managed to do really well was pack a lot of events in a short space of time and still get a lot of engagement, which I was really happy about. Yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Marty, who's going to talk through the Lent term.
Oh, I'm on mute. Okay. During Lent, again, a bit annoying that we couldn't do the in-person events. I think Mikkel was loads of fun with that, but we tried a couple of new things. So the first one was getting as many freshers involved as possible, and you're going to see that again afterwards. There's been a lot of enthusiasm around the roles and organizing events and stuff, and the refreshers event went really, really well and was a good example of that. We also did one poetry event, which is kind of new. There were sort of academics from India, Russia, Poland, and we streamed it on Twitch, which some people really enjoyed. I know some people watched it with their families, which was good fun. And then towards the end of towards the end of last term, we started to make it a little bit more competitive, had some prizes on the lines, and yeah, we haven't forgotten about them. The winning teams will get their cocktails and free stuff eventually from the quiz nights as well. You got to meet our current committee, meet the committee social, and you will meet the upcoming committee soon as well in the elections. But yeah, Nish, next slide.
Yeah, sorry, just opening the windows again with stuff in there. Yeah, so so there were a couple of partners and sponsors that we kind of gathered over the course of the year. I'm not going to bore you with every single one, but some of the notable ones were OCNC, which is our biggest sponsor this year. We obviously couldn't do a lot with them this year, given kind of online capabilities, and just we were limited to just online virtual stuff. But we're definitely kind of thinking of, and I'd like the next committee kind of move forward with this and extend the sponsorship as well. Peak Project was quite an interesting one. So they were a kind of organization that do book clubs across different societies, and their books are kind of centered around cultural heritage. And so we did a couple of book clubs with them, and they also helped sponsor some of the books for the members that did take part. And yeah, as I said, the National Indian Students and Alumni Union, we kind of started to interact with them, but I'm really looking forward to see the next committee work with them way more and do like a exclusive Cambridge event with them. And yeah, there's some other partners and sponsors there you can have a look at.
Yeah, and I think the one actual kind of advantage with things being online was that we could actually collaborate with loads of different kind of societies and communities, like wider and further away kind of than our close to India subgroup. And that's what we ended up doing. So collaborated initially with a lot of the South Asian societies on the COVID relief fun project where we all raised over £2,000, and I know there's some people in the call as well who really helped us with that. Worked with Hindusoc and Hungersock and a lot of the other ones. We also worked with Mastana, who, as we know, every year had their show. Couldn't do that this year, but ended up raising quite a bit of money for charity for them as well. And then tried to target some societies outside our kind of Cambridge group. So collaborating with Bath Society on some lectures on British Raj. There's an upcoming cricket match with Oxford that we're hoping will go ahead. So if you haven't signed up for that, make sure you do. There was an inter-uni mixer a few weeks ago that went really, really well. 120 signups, nine different universities. And I think that's one thing that I'd be very excited to see the future committee do as well. And just a little additional economic conference thing we worked on as well. Me, Priyanka, worked quite a bit on it and trying to get the speakers for that, some really, really good Indian economists, and talk about kind of development and how India and other countries around it can kind of go forward. But all that was quite interesting and was something that we wouldn't normally do, I think, in a normal IndiaSoc year. I think after this, I'm going to pass it on to Hillary, the finances. Yep.
Hey, yeah, so I'm just going to take us through the finance summary for this past year. So we started off in Easter, having just been elected and ready to have a nice garden party or something, but obviously COVID hit, so we ended up basically just spending £24 on our Zoom premium, which really went a long way for the whole term. But then, yeah, we move on to Michaelmas, our only 4 weeks when we got to do in-person events. And we started off with a very promising £1,540 from a bunch of keen freshers, mostly, you know, hoping to have some fun and make some new friends. And we were able to host a few events. So one of them was the very successful sold out chai brunch, and we managed to make £92.50 in profit for that. We also hosted the family bowling night, which our intention was to break even on that, because the pricing for the bowling night we did according to what we'd been given from the bowling arena, and the discount that they provided to us was given to any layperson. So we felt that by keeping it available to everyone for the price that's fair would make sense, and that's what we ended up doing. And yeah, so we broke even on that. And then we also had to pay for the domain renewal and more Zoom, because obviously lockdown 2 hit. And then Lent term, we ended up just having more membership signups and even more Zoom premium payments, because obviously more lockdown. So yeah, moving on, if we take a look at sponsorship, Amartya. Yeah, so sponsorship was probably one of the strongest years that we've had in the past, like compared to the past. So just want to give a huge shout out to Nish and Maheen for doing such a good job getting £1,350, especially in a year that's been tainted by COVID. So that was amazing. And that brings us to our final profit of £3,483.72, which for obvious reasons has been relatively big compared to all the profits in the past years, which have usually been around a few £100s. And we've decided that we're going to be donating £1,500 to 3 different charities. So one of these will be a COVID relief fund, helping to tackle the current difficulties in the pandemic that India's facing at the moment. We're also going to be donating some to the Against Malaria Foundation and the PAD project. And finally, there was one particular issue that we had mentioned at the Meet the Committee event with the bank account that has persisted for 4 years, and it hadn't been solved since 2016 for one reason or another. But luckily, we've gotten to the bottom of it this year, so you guys won't have to worry about it, and we'll be leaving you the other 2K that we won't be donating for the new committee. So along with that, and with the stuff that we have left for you in our reserves as well, you guys will be in a really good position. So expecting big things for you.
Yeah, just a huge shout out to Hillary on that last bit with getting the signatories done on the account, because that was a huge issue, which meant that every time you had to access the account or make a payment, you had to chase up on the person who had the account, which was from like 4 or 5 years ago. So that was a good thing that Hillary really pushed through and we achieved. So we'll just make it easier to transition for the next committee as well, to grab hold of the account. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all from me.
Okay, so this is something that I really wanted to talk about, was some of the ideas that we're really looking forward to this year that didn't exactly go as planned. So first of all, we were really excited about Stash. So over summer, we, as a committee, came up with a lot of great designs, and we were really keen to kind of get this going within the members, so that everyone could have their own stash. And this is the design we came up with, as you can see. Unfortunately, we didn't, get nearly as enough orders for this to like go ahead, because our aim was to kind of get a large amount of orders and we can kind of provide it at a really cheap price. I feel like there were kind of a few reasons for that, and one of the main reasons was because a lot of the events were online. People didn't really feel like they belonged to the community as much, which is fair enough, because we barely did as many in-person events as we hoped. But I do see this as a positive, and I feel like this is still a really strong idea that I would recommend to the next committee if they want to, take this forward and maybe come up with their own designs as well. But yeah, and then the next two things are some of the big events that we were really looking forward to do, which for obvious reasons couldn't go ahead. The India Sock Ball, which we were gonna kind of like build on what Suchir and Nile did last year, which was great. The garden party, which is done annually. We also had some kind of unique ideas, me and Martia, so the thought park and a residential getaway, which again couldn't go ahead. But yeah, I'm leaving this to the next committee discretion to take this forward. And who knows, if COVID restrictions do ease enough, then we might get a little garden party this time as well. But let's see.
Okay, bit of the boring stuff. I will not go through all of that, but I quickly just want to run through a couple of the changes that we had to make to the constitution. So I think the one last amendment that I saw was in 2003, so there definitely needed to be a couple of changes to it. So things like it's saying concerts of classical music. We've decided, well, Bollywood's quite fun as well, so we'll put all genres. Anything can be a part of kind of the Indian music and dancing thing. A little bit of changes around kind of membership proofs. We don't really give out membership cards anymore, so kind of change that a little bit and change the number of committee members that you can have as a maximum. So we've increased the maximum limit to 14, which I think should have been done before, but we managed to do it now, and have submitted kind of the constitution in for that. But at the moment, so today there's 11 positions, and we think that's sufficient, but the next committee for their AGM can rejig that if they need to. Yeah, so if you go to the next slide, Nish. Yeah, loads of more formal writing stuff, but yeah, some of it's just saying the president and VP can't propose a second candidate. So me and Nish have been trying to stay as far away as we can from doing that, obviously, and kind of being as unbiased as possible, and also kind of the date of term. So they'll take over in Easter, which was kind of just normal term time before, where they take over in September, but that's changed as well. And finally, if a committee member leaves, which I really hope doesn't happen, I hope everyone that gets elected today absolutely love their roles and have a great time. But if they do leave, then it's up to the discretion of the committee to decide who the post is filled by and whether it's an election, etc. Stuff like that. Anyways, that's that out of the way. Over to you again, Nish.
Yeah, just to kind of finish off and before we kind of move on, just wanted to say a huge thank you to the current committee. It's been a really long year and tough year, which none of us really saw coming as well. But I've seen our committee really learn and grow and develop from kind of day one. So our first kind of social at Byron, from that to now, I can really see how much we've achieved. And I think everyone should be really proud of what we've done with the society. We've got a lot of engagement this year, and we've got a lot of new freshers who are also keen, as we can see on this call. I want to give a few special thanks to some of the committee members. First of all, I want to give a special thanks to Vidya, who's been really on it with the publicity. A lot of you guys might not realize that publicity is really important, and it's one of the most stressful roles, because for every event, you got to keep making posters and stay on it. And she's done a really good job with all of this. I also want to do a special thank you to Rohit, who supported her on the publicity end, and he's really helped on kind of the website and some of the techie things for some of the events, so such as the poetry symposium. It couldn't have been possible without him. I want to say a special thank you to Maheen, who's done a lot of work over the summer, especially to bag the OCNC sponsorship. I think Sanjan has done a lot of work, especially working with the Bharatiya Society and really reaching out to the internationals to make it as accessible to them as possible. And finally, I want to say a really big thank you to Amartya. He's been always there from day one. And I've always seen it as a co-presidency, in fact. Obviously, he's my great mate and we live together, but he's definitely helped so much, and it wouldn't have been possible without him. But yeah, with that, I would again like to thank the whole committee, and I want to open that up to the floor for any questions they may have for us.
Yeah, in terms of questions, if you guys want to maybe raise your hand and we can do it that way, because there's actually quite a lot of people here. So I think the way you raise your hand is click on participants, and there should be an option there somewhere. Yeah, so nice. And that should let you ask questions. In fact, if you're feeling brave, why not go for it? Drop it. We can do it in the chat as well if people prefer that. But we've got time for some questions before we get to kind of the exciting election stuff. I feel like we did really well if there's no questions, Oh, Suche, yes, you can ask. Go for it.
Great. Thanks for the presentation, Andy, you guys. I think you did a really good job organizing the committee and putting on some really great events despite the pandemic. Me, Nile, and the rest of the committee we're very impressed with you guys, and I think you made a huge difference for all the freshers who are joining for the first time and having maybe a difficult time in the pandemic. I think, as we saw today, you made a lot of progress, particularly with sponsorship and charity as well as like putting on some really varied events that we haven't seen before. My only question to you guys is, when me and Nile ended our time, we created a couple new roles, and you, for example, with welfare, you created some really good events that I think were really important for the society. Do you think you did as much with access and say alumni as you think you could have? Or is this something you want the next committee to build more on?
Oh, perhaps I should take over on the access side. So
yeah, go on, Nikki.
I've been sorry, Nishant, to sit for me. On the access side, a lot of the reaching out to schools became incredibly difficult, unfortunately due to pandemic, because they had a lot of other things to focus on. However, there are a few things I would really like the next Welfare and Access Officer to focus on, including partnership with other societies and the student union. I've got a meeting with student union coming up, in fact, this Thursday, to try to build that relationship a bit further. So if the next person taking over the role is feeling brave, they can join me in that. But all in all, I think it was the start of something, and I'm trying to start the relationship with the societies, but continuing that, and maybe if in-person events can run, trying to run in-person events to attract a wider range of audience for a wider range of degrees at Cambridge would be a really good idea, and it's something I'd be really keen to see. Yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, and just to add on that, so we did kind of try working with Project Access from the beginning, who also opened up kind of their own India branch as well, Project Access India, and they were really keen to work with us, and then they kind of got inactive in between. So again, I'm guessing because of the pandemic. But yeah, we were really keen to kind of kickstart things with them from an access point of view. So hopefully the next committee can kind of further that relationship. And as Nikita said, working with the Students' Union and on a university level is quite crucial, and I hope they can kind of develop that further.
Yeah. On the alumni side, I think one thing Maheen did really well was on the sponsorship stuff. I think it's difficult to get in touch with the alumni, but the fact that there's still people that we know from 2-3 committees down the line coming to these calls is great. So there's still engagement, and I think for next committee, we've sorted out memberships quite well. So you can use those membership bases for people that still have lifetime memberships and kind of go down that route and get in touch with them. I think that's a really good point. So yeah.
And yeah, let me just add, we've actually had quite a few ex-Cambridge people kind of coming to help out with events. We had the cooking class, we had the mental health workshops, and these are all kind of Cambridge alumni themselves. So I think on that front, there is definitely that engagement, and we can build on that further and develop our kind of connections with the alumni base. That would be even better.
Yeah, sounds good. Any more questions? Feel free to ask them in the chat. Oh wait, there's someone. Okay, yeah, Basma, go for it.
Yeah. Hi guys. I think you did a really good job. Just I feel like, it was a very strange year to kind of like be in charge of the society and everything. But I just kind of wanted to ask, why do you think there weren't really that many like collaborations with other cultural societies as like there could be? Do you think there were any cultural societies that you kind of wanted to be with or in the future could be good to partner with?
Yeah, I think so. On the collaborations front, we did collaborate obviously with kind of some of the societies. Firstly, in the COVID Relief Fund, we came together to kind of help raise a fair amount for them. I think it was over £2,000. We also collaborated with PACSOC on the economic series we did, and then we collaborated with a lot of cultural societies. I think about 9 or 10 for the Inter-Uni Mixer event. So I mean, in terms of what I was hoping to do, we did quite a fair bit. I think one kind of particular thing that we could have built on, and what I'd recommend is collaborating with societies such as kind of Abacus and ACS, because obviously they have a large influence within Cambridge. And I was actually looking forward to kind of collaborating with them towards the end of Lent term, or this term, but fortunately they weren't as responsive as I thought they'd be. And I guess it was packing events in really tightly, which wouldn't have been feasible. But I definitely recommend it. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think often it's hard to realize who you've collaborated with sometimes because you haven't met them in person as well. So I think hopefully not stepping on anyone's ideas, but swaps with cultural societies next year could be amazing, and I'd sign up to them definitely. So yeah, it could be something you guys could look into. Any other questions?
Yeah. Hey guys, just had
Sancho.
a quick question. So first of all, well done on everything you've done during the pandemic. I think you guys joined at a really difficult time, and I know you had a lot of fantastic ideas that you weren't able to see through. But as an alumnus, kind of seeing everything that's been happening, seeing all of the events and posting on Facebook, it's been really good to see that engagement and so on. I had a question, reflecting back on your experience so far and reflecting on what other societies have done well. Are there any other virtual events that you think you could have done over the course of the last year?
I mean, so obviously we tried to do kind of as many different kinds of virtual events as we could. In terms of what we could have done, I guess one thing we were actually really looking forward to doing was on a larger scale, something like, a quiz, but on a much larger scale, which we didn't exactly manage to do. I know HinduSoc and some of the societies have done that with other universities. So something in a more kind of competitive manner, but across different unis was something I would have hoped to do, and we could have done that. So I think the first step was like a kind of chill social with different unis, and I think the next step to that would be something more competitive. I don't know if Amartya has anything to add to that.
Yeah, no, I think there's always kind of ideas in progress kind of thing. And maybe if I talk about one or two of them, I think one of them was going kind of beyond Zoom and maybe using a different platform, something like Discord, or I can't remember the exact name, but ones where you can kind of rotate and move within very, very easily. And that could have made it kind of a different social aspect. That could have been fun. I don't think we got a chance to try, and also we had kind of a lot of Zoom events coming up, but if next year, hopefully not, you have to do more virtual events, that could be a good way to do it. And also I think one thing that I saw that was nice was maybe weekly events was quite nice, where it's kind of the same community, but they're coming in together every single time. Ours were usually on a bigger scale. Sometimes, small scale works as well. And it's nice to kind of meet loads of different people in that sense. And final thing, some of the big speakers, we tried to reach out. Some of them weren't available. Some of them said they were and then didn't kind of pull through. So that's, I think, one big thing that, things like Bollywood actors and actresses, things like that. We definitely had kind of contacts with them. And I think the next committee should keep an eye on those kind of contacts and emails we have and reach out to them. But those were the things maybe we could have tried more. But I think we were quite happy with all the virtual stuff we did. If anything, I would have loved to squeeze more things in Michaelmas in terms of the in-person sense. But that's just in hindsight.
there any other questions?
I don't think so. I know some people need to leave as well at some point. Don't want to rush it too much though. If there are any other questions, maybe we can take one more. But if not, that's great as well. And I think just before we move on into the elections, I know Nish said thank you to all of us, but I am sure everyone on the call can agree with us. He has been an incredible president. I think he eats, sleeps, drinks every single moment in India. And I live with him, and he honestly constantly has ideas and things that he wants to try. Some of them aren't great, and some of them are amazing, and which makes it so much fun. And I've had such a good time kind of working on all this stuff with him, and I'm sure the rest of committee has well. So big thanks to him for putting so much time towards it, and honestly making the last year quite fun despite being kind of difficult. So yeah, thanks, Nish. That's all the nice stuff I'm going to say to you today. That's enough, I think. Let's move on to the elections. Okay. So how this is going to work is we're going to start from actually, if you go to the next slide, Nish. Yeah, just go for a second. Yeah, so we have the roles. We're going to start in that order as well. So start with the presidents. They're going to have timed speeches. I've got a timer here. I'll try and warn you guys 30 seconds before your timing ends. And after the speeches are done, we're going to ask them some questions, and then we'll open the polls for voting. Because there's quite a few presidents and vice president, well, obviously exec committee as well, their section's a little bit longer. But yeah, let me know. I think we're going to start. Actually, let me go through the voting quickly as well. So how the voting works is you'll have the poll with the options. So I know there's 3 people running for president, so them 3 and Ron. And if somebody gets a 50% majority, they win automatically. If nobody does, the lowest voted candidate is eliminated, and then the poll runs again. So it's basically a modified way of the preference of voting that we do normally. But this is what a lot of societies have been doing, and it works fine. Okay, so let's start. Basma, are you ready for your 3-minute speech addressing everyone? 1 second, I'll just make you spotlight so everyone can see you.
Also, is it okay if I share the screen because I have a PowerPoint?
Okay, as long as you can keep it within 3 minutes, I think that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll give you a little warning when you're kind of 30 seconds to go. Hopefully I won't have to cut you off, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, 1 sec. Sorry. Okay. Oh, can you enable the screen sharing?
Okay, let me. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make you co-host for while you're screen sharing, and then I'll take your things off. Yeah?
Sure.
Okay. Does that let you do it?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Basma, a first-year economics student from Trinity College, and I'm running to be your next president. I aim to continue expanding the understanding of Indian culture, and also to provide a social platform, creating a community of trust within the Indian society. Within my work currently, I aspire to give back as much as possible to the Indian community that has allowed me to be here. I've been working with India-based NGOs as a consultant for the past year, and I'm also getting funding from college to work in Uttar Pradesh this summer, improving educational facilities in the rural town that I was born in. As president of the India SOC, I would bring this background, experience, and determination to make our society thrive within Cambridge. Above all, with me, you would have a compassionate and dependable figure ensuring smooth operations. I'm aware that this year has been very different, and as such, I hope to come back even stronger with more social events, more speakers, and more welfare support. Sometimes people can feel that they're not Indian enough to be involved within our society, and that's unfortunate, and I really want to work towards dispelling that. I want to broaden our society to more graduates and internationals too. So basically, everyone is welcome and will be comfortable at our events, regardless of age, background, religion, or sexual orientation. My plans as president will be to make sure that all the social time that was lost will be recovered in a new and energized fashion, and I'm open to ideas from all of you. Most importantly, I will be bringing back the iconic India Sock Ball, and my plan is to have that again in central London because I know that was so successful last year. As first year, I know that everybody wants to get to know more people and socialize, and I will be introducing India Sock representatives at the most popular remaining clubs in Cambridge like Vinyl and Match, and to have socials there. And I've already kind of been involved in the running of other societies at Cambridge, so I can provide a seamless transition from the fantastic work that Nishan and everybody else in the community did this year. There are further proposals in my manifesto that you can also check out. I also wanted to just like briefly address kind of like the COVID situation in India at the minute, because it is dire, and it was really happy for me to see that you guys donated so much money there. But I would just also like to add that there would be like mental support, because I think on a personal note for me, I know a lot of people that are kind of suffering right now. There are a lot of cases and a lot of families are being hurt. But anybody would be free to, you know, discuss with us, and we would be having action as well, making further donations and having more fundraising events to kind of combat this at the minute. So just to kind of wrap up, vote Basma for president, for collaboration, for community, and most importantly, care. I promise to give my all to this position, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. That was 2 minutes 55 for other candidates as well. Okay, can we have Sana next, please?
Yeah, sure. Let me know when I can go.
Do you want me to just make you spotlight so everyone can see you? 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
That should be okay. Okay, yep, go.
Okay, so it's been a tough year for a lot of people, but I hope that India Sock can continue to be the welcoming place that it is for people. And the current committee, I mean, we all know they've done a really good job given the circumstances, so props to them on that. So I'm Sana. I was born in India and I lived there until about 2009. But after then, whether it's the Badam every morning or the Bollywood, Bharatanatyam, Kathak or Odissi dance classes, or the drinking masala chai, I've been involved in aspects of Indian culture. So what do you want from your president? Do you want dedication? Because it's my birthday tomorrow and my first prelim exam the day after that. So I hope my dedication comes across. Stash, I led the development of the first ever Stash store for the Cambridge Union Society, making Stash available for over 70,000 members worldwide. And I'd love to work on Stash again for you. Now, what about samosas? So partnerships with local restaurants and businesses is part of the plan. So I've come up with this initiative called Collect from CUIS. So maybe if you want a masala chai to cure the week 5 blues, or if you want a samosa to deal with exam stress by week 7, we've got you covered. So what about finance? What about sponsorships? What about corporate relations? So I've been part of a team organising a climate conference in Manchester with a £10,000 budget, and I've directly organised and led conferences and residentials. For sponsorships and corporate relations, I've worked with multiple businesses and organisations over many years in various sectors, and I've even been recognised by one of the top 10 corporate law firms in the world, meaning that I've already established corporate relations which I would want to utilise as president. Okay, what about events? Well, through the Freshers page founded by Aditya, there's already been sold out Life and Cindy's Club Night events, and we're already now liaising with MASH, so we'd be looking to deliver sold out events again, but this time focused on India Sock. And quite uniquely, we can also offer you really discounted tickets because Aditya's offered to not take any commission on anything whatsoever. Now, you might also want society collaborations, and you'll see that Joel Rosen, the president of the Cambridge Union Society, has given one of our manifesto endorsements, because I remember Sutra mentioning that that's one of the things that he'd like to see India Sock doing. Now, I think there are probably so many of you here who also want to learn more about India, about its culture and heritage, about events like the 1947 partition, and I would want to deliver a comprehensive history series to do with that as well. So to finish off, stash, samosas, society collaborations, discounted club night tickets, a developed graduate network, a history series, welfare package. Now, these are all the things that you might want. I'm hoping for one thing, and that's the opportunity to deliver on them. So please vote for Sana. Thank you.
Thank you. That's really well timed as well. And our final candidate for president is Varun. Varun, are you there?
Yes, hello. Hopefully you guys
Varun, 1 second. Let me just make you spotlight. Actually, I don't know if this is spotlight for everyone or not, but if it makes it easier for you guys, make him spotlight so you can see him. Okay, Varun, time starts now.
Well, hello everyone. Hope you're all having a great evening, and fingers crossed some of you know me here, or else I'm in the wrong room. But for those of you who don't, my name is Varun Hanchinal, and I'm a first-year economist at CATS. But more importantly, I'm a member of IndiaSoc, just like you guys. I've attended every event, every social, and every Zoom call that IndiaSoc has had to offer in the last 7 months that I could have because of COVID, of course. But so I feel like I understand what being president would require of me, and that I can ensure a smooth transition. In order to prove this to you guys, I'd like to propose my 3-point plan to enhance the IndiaSoc experience. Step 1, promote. The most important part of the society are the members, which is why it's key that we get all our events out to as many people as possible and encourage interactions across colleges and years. This includes increasing alumni interactions, which would be a fantastic way to boost your career opportunities and in general, build a better network. To increase graduate and international inclusion as early as possible, I'll be publicizing these events not only on Facebook, but also Instagram, WhatsApp group chats, and many other social media platforms to create one big IndiaSoc family. Cuis and many other societies have recurring sponsorships, which is why they're able to hold massive events with large budgets. And this is something I'd love to achieve alongside my treasurer and by using our Facebook analytics data to make a stronger case. Step 2 is provide. At the end of the day, the aim of the society is to provide you with some banging events. We'll be collaborating with many different societies such as HinduSoc, TSoc, PACSoc, and many more to bring you amazing experiences, which include Bollywood club nights, sporting events, and the return of everyone's favorite, the charity blind dates. I know some of you love those. For those of you more interested in the culture and education side, we'll also be working with the academic societies to host inspiring speakers throughout the year. And if hopefully some of you saw my teaser video, you'll know that we will be working alongside several restaurants to get great deals and offers such as Atiti, Rice Boat, and everyone's favorite, Tiffin Trap. And let's not forget the annual IndiaSoc Ball, which will be the biggest and best yet. And I know many of you have been asking for it, so yes, it will also be in London. And step 3, a very, very important step, is protect. One of the things that we take very seriously here in IndiaSoc is the safety and well-being of all our members. That's why I'll be introducing a reporting system in line with the one employed by the student union. This will be overseen by the welfare officer, who will also be involved in the welfare drop-ins, which were a massive success last year. I'm also going to be increasing LGBTQ+ inclusivity by creating an anonymous forum for you to voice any concerns you have and just talk with a friendly face. The key idea behind all 3 steps is the collaboration and connection of different societies and communities to ensure that you have the best possible year with IndiaSoc. In a nutshell, regardless of your interest, I can guarantee you one thing. This year, IndiaSoc is where it's at. Vote for Varun.
Great, thank you. Well, that's our 3 candidates. Looking forward to how they're going to answer to some of Nisha's questions, and then we'll open it to 1 or 2 questions from the rest of the members as well. Nish?
Yeah, so in terms of the question, I'll ask the same question to everyone, but I'll kind of change up the order of who can answer first. So kind of for the first question, I'd like Sana to answer first, then Basma, and then Varun. So my first question is, firstly, just in terms of managing the committee, it happens a lot of the time that your committee gets bored or unresponsive. And how would you kind of work moving forward with that committee and still manage to have an effective and functioning committee in general? And how would you motivate them?
So, I mean, it's all about teamwork, really, and it's all about being a team player. And I hope that I could demonstrate that to some of you on the call today with the way that I've worked with other candidates who are standing for other roles. So what you might be able to notice is that there are people who've got matching manifestos with me. So I created a template, I worked and liaised with other candidates, and there are candidates who are standing who don't have matching manifestos, who are still there willing to work with me, wanting to work with me. So I hope in that way I've already demonstrated how important I think that teamwork is. and the way that I would, you know, actively go and liaise with people, actively reach out to people and make sure that, you know, they know what's going on, they're okay, firstly, because that's really important. I mean, the pandemic has been so difficult for so many of us, but also to ensure that we're operating smoothly. If someone can't do something for whatever reason, I would make sure that, you know, I can delegate that to someone else, or even if I want to do that, I will go out of my way to do that, because working as a president, the most important thing is not only just overseeing everyone, but also making sure that if someone can't pull through on something one day, you can do it. And I would always make myself available whenever that is, to make sure that I could pull the committee together. So that's the approach that I would have. But yeah, if you have any recommendations, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, Basma, next, please.
Yep. So I'm kind of in a fortunate position that I've had experience working with some committees this year, and maybe at times I've been the person that hasn't been able to respond, but I understand how difficult it is for a president to manage that group of people. I think though that with that experience, I've been able to like pick up on how other kind of presidents have done this role, and like observing you guys as well. That I think I would be able to like communicate effectively with everybody and work together well. I think I have the people skill to kind of get along well with everybody, and that people find me approachable enough that even if they have an issue, they would just come up to me and tell me that they can't do it. And I would be like fine with delegating that role to somebody else and doing that. As I said in my speech, I am very like willing to give this role my all. So as well as, you know, allowing people to take their roles, I understand that I also have a responsibility, and if they're kind of struggling with their role, I'm willing to like help them along the way and to find other alternatives for it. But yeah.
Thank you. Lauren, please.
Yeah, so it's a very good question, and it kind of reminds me of the key theme behind my campaign is the diversity and collaboration. So bringing different people together, and it makes sense. It's natural because the role of the committee is not only to support the president but also to challenge the president. And in situations where the committee or the president or just in general there's a bit of a drift between the members, it would take a bit of time and some understanding. But the whole idea is that you're able to get over that by just discussing and creating different plans. And I think, as they said as well, perfectly fine if I have to do something myself, or if there are certain disparities that need to be solved, then I'm more than willing to just step in and fill the shoes of any role at the certain time.
Cool, thanks guys. I have one more question for you guys before we kind of open it up to other people. This is more of a slightly technical question, but how would you, so obviously India Society Ball is kind of our biggest event. How would you kind of start planning for the ball, and how would you utilize your committee and take into account obviously COVID, which has affected us? So yeah, I just want to see kind of step by step how you'd roughly do that. And with the order, we're going to go reverse now. So we'll go with Varun, then Basma, and then Sana.
Yeah. So with the India Suck Ball, there are a couple of events, and I think the key idea was that it wanted to be in London. But about using the society, I think I remember talking to Amartya about it. You can't really go crazy, for example, if you think about, oh, we need to get a boat, but then you have to get the welfare officer involved, because what if somebody gets drunk or falls off, and there's a lot of safety concerns. And not to mention, you have to fund whatever you're trying to do. So that's where the sponsorship officer comes really, really key, and also the publicity officer. Because people don't want to go to somewhere where A, they don't feel safe, and B, they don't feel invited. So the aim of the committee is try and get the publicity officers and the welfare officers and the sponsorship officer to work together to create a very, very diverse, but also a very, very engaging India Suck Ball, which in essence, everyone is invited to.
Okay, great, thanks. Basma, next, please.
Yeah. So I think planning for the ball, just because it's such a big event, kind of starts early, and it's better to, you know, start like as soon as we can, basically, to start looking at events and start the bookings as well. Especially with COVID, it's like an issue because a lot of the people are going to want to have like an event or something, and it's going to be like quick planning is, I think, kind of key, especially this year. And I was kind of like looking at venues and stuff when I was like making my manifesto already, but yeah, I think quick planning, and then also being able to delegate like some small tasks to the committee members as well, to be like, so obviously the publicity officer has a really big role in this, but I guess we can kind of subdivide that into other people's roles as well. So like the welfare and access officer could take some of that as well, because it's quite a big burden to put on one member to handle like the publicity of the entire thing. So yeah, I think that's kind of how I would go about doing it. Yeah.
Great, thanks. And lastly, Sana, please.
Yeah, so when you're planning a ball, there's obviously a lot to think about. And as Basma's touched on, you have to really start months in advance. And also, I would really want to involve as many people as possible, because, there's probably some people here on this call who aren't standing for a role on committee, but still want to get involved in, planning the ball. So I'd open up applications to anyone from IndieSoc to apply. Also, I think it's really important to look at the venue and the location. So we have to think about accessibility, are there lifts? Whereabouts is it? Is there transport to get there? There's a lot of things like that to think about as well in terms of logistics. Also, in terms of having a contingency plan and looking at refunds, because we are in a pandemic, and it's important to remember that we don't know what's coming next a lot of the time. So we have to be able to ensure that, we can provide refunds to everyone. It's a financially tough time for a lot of people. So looking at that, and also to subsidise tickets, we'd also look at sponsorships. So again, that would have to happen a long time before, months before, getting in touch with a lot of different companies. And also we have to remember, with numbers, there's a lot to look at. How many people can we, take care of? We have to look at welfare, but then we also have to look at, not a lot of people, some people might not be able to turn up on the day. What happens then? The reasons. There's just so many things that I can't cover it all in the space of a minute or 2 minutes. But those are just some of the things that we'd want to consider. So yeah.
Right, that's it from me, guys. Thanks. Martin, if you have any questions, or we can open up to the floor.
Yeah, no, I think in the interest of time, what I'll do is I will open up it to members. So one question from any members, I will give it to whoever raises their hand first or put something in the chat first. They can ask a question, and this time can Basma answer first, and then Sana, and no, actually, and then Varun, and then Sana. I think Arvana raised a hand. So yes, go for Arvana.
Hi, Sana, I just had a quick question for you. So I saw in your manifesto you'd written something about a residential trip, and I think this was one of Nishant's ideas earlier last year as well. But I just wanted to ask about what you thought about it, and whether like logistics and things like that, and about how you would try and avoid people perhaps getting too carried away, or like enforce some rules, and if you have any ideas about where you want to do it, for example.
Would you like me to answer that first then, Amrita?
I think it was just specifically to you, Sana, so
Okay,
I think only you need to answer
yeah,
it, but
sure.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, so with the residential, I think all of the points you've raised are really, really important. So I've already previously organised residentials, looking at 150 people. So I have significant experience in looking at that. I also have looked at safeguarding. I've had training in unconscious bias. I've worked in roles for welfare. My first paid job offer was as a youth worker. So I completely understand all of the welfare considerations that we have to look at, and the safeguarding considerations that we have to look at. In terms of logistics, again, I know how important it is to plan early on. I know how important it is to sort out the transport, look at the numbers, make sure, for example, even simple things like sending packing lists so everyone knows what to pack for the residential, making sure that people know who to turn to if they're having a difficult time, making sure they know the timing, so having agendas and timetables sorted. So again, I would look to plan that months in advance. And I think that there's so many things I wouldn't be able to cover it in terms of like 1 minute or 2 minutes, but those are just some of the things that I would work on. And hopefully I would love to, the reason that I included it is because Nishant had mentioned it before, and I'd love even for the current committee to be involved in organising that, if that's possible, if I am elected. Great.
I've just seen that 3 other questions have come up as well. Because I think the president role is obviously a key role, and it's quite competitive as well. What I'll do is, Gaurav, do you want to ask it specifically to a candidate? And then maybe Arushi can ask the other person if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, mine wasn't actually aimed at anyone in particular, but I guess whoever wants to answer can.
Yeah, Gaurav, just tell the question and I'll, if you want, Varun, can you answer this one?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, yeah, so mine's Gaurav for the people that don't know. I'm in my final year, so I'm not here next year, but looking back, like India Soc, you know, some of my fondest memories, some of my greatest friends came out of this. So I'm really just asking this question so that everyone else can get the same out of this. And this first thing I sort of realized from everyone is that, you know, there's some very similar ideas between all of you. I think, you know, club nights, restaurants, I mean, no one's going to complain for that. That's a great idea. And yeah, these are things I really want to see happen. But fundamentally, I think looking back at, you know, my time in committees, you really need to devote a lot of time. You need to really be committed to the role, and you have to sort of be really keen. So my question to everyone really, and maybe Varun can go in particular about this, is how do you think you're going to run things differently to the other candidates, and how keen are you about all of this, and how much time do you think you'll be able to commit to this?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I do have to commit a lot of time, and I understand the responsibility. And to answer your question, I think it's kind of evident if you just see how much time I've already devoted. If you look at the chat, you know, the publicity that I've already done, or the amount of events I've been to, the amount of events I've helped organize. And it just, the reason I'm very keen for it, there's actually a very deep reason. It's because when I first came to Cambridge, I was in isolation instantly. So I missed the cocktail night and also the first freshers week. So, you know, having no interactions at all, it became a little bit difficult. So I tried to spend the rest of my time, including Lent term, start of Easter term, in, you know, Michaelmas term, the rest what I had left of it, as much as possible, and in India Soc. And it really helped me make really close friends, and not just in the committee, but also just friends. You know, people I met at these events, people I met at the games night, the family games night was really interesting. You know, and it's just why I think that it's something that it helped me so much that I really want to help other people the same way. And I don't know how many, you know, I don't know if it's the same thing for the other candidates, but definitely for me, it's just been a very big part of my Cambridge career.
Okay. I think actually, if we keep them short and sweet, Basma and Sana, you can take those on quickly as well. But I do want Arushi and Suchit to have a quick go. Can you have your questions for specific candidates, Arushi and Suchit, if that's okay? I think Sana's already answered a question, so maybe for the other two. Yeah, go for it, Basma.
Yeah, okay. So I agree with Varun that I think the India Society, one of the main ways I met people from other colleges. So I understand, you know, like how loving everybody is towards the community, the India Soc. Like every person I talk to really enjoys the society. And as with regards to kind of like commitment, yes, you kind of president of a society, you do need to dedicate a lot of time to it. But I think I'm like passionate enough about, I am passionate about, you know, helping the India community out. I've done that previously, and it's something that I want to continue doing because I want other people to have that same experience of, you know, being able to come. A lot of the times we are coming from backgrounds where like the only, like a minority of Indian people, and coming to this community allows you to, you know, explore that culture that you didn't have the chance to explore. So I really want to be able to give that experience to other people, and I would commit, yeah, and give the time that it needs to do so. Yeah.
Yes. So again, I would completely agree with what Basma and Varun have said. So India Soc has been one of, you know, the places where I found a lot of my close friends. A lot of you are here today, and I'm really grateful for that. So one of the reasons that I would really want to get involved in this role is the same reason why I'm studying the degree that I'm studying. I'm really passionate about, you know, Indian culture and Indian heritage, and I would really like to give that back to everyone, and, you know, hopefully create an agenda, you know, and a timetable for and term cards for next year that, you know, everyone can find something that they want to do on it, whether that's club nights, whether that's cafe trips, whether that's a residential, whether you want an Easter garden party or an amazing ball. I just want to create something that everyone can look to, because a lot of the time I find, not necessarily in India Soc, but in other societies, there is a strategic focus in one direction, and it doesn't necessarily cater to everyone's different needs. So what my main aim would be to make sure that it is that everyone feels included in the society, and that's why I want to get involved, because I mean the current committee have done an incredible role of this, and that's why I'm standing for this role. So yeah, I completely agree with what Varun and Basma have said. Just hopefully have a chance to deliver on what I think you guys would love. So yeah.
Okay, great. I know we're running short on time and some people might need to go. I am going to, because I think Arushi had a question as well. Can you ask that to either Varun and Basma, and Suche ask one to the other candidate, and then we'll open polls, because obviously we've got other election stuff as well.
Okay, I will direct my question to Varun. So you mentioned how you were interested in sponsorship and working with some of the small local businesses around Cambridge. I was just wondering, since a lot of these businesses are probably going to overlap with the sponsorship opportunities that committees such as Mastana and Hindusoc are also going to be looking at, how will you deal with both negotiating with them and almost competing against these other committees to get the best sponsorship for IndiaSoc?
I think it's interesting because you are completely right. A lot of these local businesses do have sponsorships with Mastana, Hindusoc, and TSOC. But I don't think there has to be an element of competition as much as there can be an element of collaboration between the societies. Because let's say they are sponsoring certain events, those events can be collaborative events between them, for example, Hindusoc, IndiaSoc, TSOC, PACSOC, and other events. So because from a business perspective, the local business wants to attract as many people as possible. And if you're combining two societies rather than one, I don't see why they should not, why they shouldn't agree to a combined sponsorship deal to increase. It's just a win-win for both people. And I'm sure the people would love it as well, because not only do you get to meet people from IndiaSoc, you also get to meet people from Hindusoc and TSOC and any other society that also has equal sponsorship. So I just think it's a great idea to do collaborative sponsorship.
Great. Yeah, such a ask a question to Basma, and I know there's a couple more questions. You can redirect them to the other candidates running as well, if that's okay. Yeah, go for it, Such.
So my question for Basma is, a situation that kind of arises maybe once a year for almost every prez is where you have to deal with a particular committee member who's, say, just kind of ignoring your messages and there's something urgent coming up, or even the case where you have a particular disagreement with your vice president. So I just wondered, what would you do in those scenarios, and how would you kind of deal with that conflict to make sure that the event goes ahead and, you know, you still handle the committee well?
Yeah, I think always kind of working with a group of people, there is like a situation where somebody has like something to do and they can't respond. I think in that situation, you kind of have to be understanding, because it's not just like you and the society, there are other people involved and they also have their own lives going on. Their role for them isn't as big as me being president of the society is going to be. So I can't expect them to give like their role as I expect myself to give. So I would be kind of understanding, but obviously, I think the key here is to like set deadlines in advance so that people don't that can't be like last minute, oh, this isn't happening. So you keep them updated with what's going on and you keep checking on them regularly. So there's never really any point where you're kind of, you know, your last minute deadlines. With regards to vice president fights, hopefully we don't have any vice president fights and we can get along well. But yeah, I think yeah, I'm not really a conflict-driven person, so I wouldn't really have those kind of things happen with me. But if it arises, I'm a very like calm and understanding person, and just kind of deal with the situation when it comes.
Great. Thank you so much for your answers. All through really strong candidates, and it'll be nice to see who. I think there's been a question in a couple of questions in the chat as well. I will leave them in the chat. Yeah, we can ask them for the other ones as well. So I think Aman and I think Christian had one as well. Anyways, Nick, do you want to open the poll? And we will leave the poll open for a minute or two, if that's okay, and then close it after that.
You should all see the poll now.
Did you remember to stop making the people co-hosts, Amartya?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll run this for a minute, but most people have voted already. So
Okay. No, let's keep it open for another minute. In fact, would we Nish, do you think we should? Oh, you're muted by the way, Nish.
So what were you saying?
I was gonna say that should we start with the VP ones and keep this open, or should we just? I think we should do the rounds, in my opinion, because 89 of the 90 people here have
Also,
done it. I know there's been some requests in the chat about keeping them open, but the problem is it was really important for members who are attending AGM to kind of be there. I will keep them open for maybe until 15-ish, should we say?
also, yeah, that's fine. Also, we have to close them before VP. If someone is unsuccessful, Prez, but wants to run.
Yeah, no, exactly. Actually, what we can do, so how this voting will work is, you're gonna have to do another vote anyways. So I will end the polling here, and there'll be another one where Ron will be eliminated if Ron is the lowest candidate. I really hope he is. And then we go again until there's either a majority or there's 2 people left. I can tell you now there isn't a majority at the moment, so we can do the poll again, right, Nikita?
Yep, I'll end this one and I will start the next stage. So Ron has been eliminated. Ron only got 2 votes. So
we don't have to share these results, right?
yeah, I won't share the results. In keeping with normal single transfer voting, you won't see the results in the individual stages until if you at the very end you want to see the results.
Yeah, we'll show them the results at the end. That's
at
fine.
the end, but yeah, I'll start.
Okay. Yeah, just relaunch it without Ron. Okay, there we go. If anyone's confused about what's going on, drop a message in the channel. I'll try and explain. It should be completely fine though. We're basically waiting until either someone has 50% votes or there's only 2 candidates left. Well, until somebody has 50% votes essentially. So 82 of the 89 have voted. If you haven't voted already, please do. Actually, yeah, Sancho, that's a good idea. While we're waiting, we can answer Aman's question. Aman, do you wanna ask the? Actually, will that be unfair? I think that'll be unfair because we can't have more questions in midway and then we launch polling. I think I've just realized, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we don't want to.
We'll just hold on. We'll hold.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, okay, I will address it. Do you want to relaunch polls, Nikita? That's 88 of 89.
Next one.
Yeah, so in that one, when Basman, Sana, and Varun were running, I think Varun had the lowest out of the 3. So now it'll be Basman and Sana running, and you'll have the option between the 2. Doing it virtually is quite an interesting experience, isn't it? Okay, just waiting on Nikita.
This should be the final.
I know the chat's open. Let's try and not say anything in the chat while voting's going on, if possible. Thank you. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for everyone to vote, Nish, do you want to address Aman's question? Because I think what he was trying to ask, and maybe this is something that we could have been asked as well. Why would the ball be in London and not Cambridge? Wouldn't a ball in Cambridge be more accessible, especially for internationals? Is what I talked about.
That's a good point, and that's one of the reasons that's traditionally been held in Cambridge. Obviously, if you look at kind of the number of venues available and the size of venues, they're kind of limited in terms of Cambridge. Within London, Suchi and Nile, they obviously looked into a really grand venue at the Grand Connaught Rooms last year. So I think in terms of having a kind of grand fancy venue and having much more kind of availability so that we can choose from different venues, that in terms of that, the London venue would be much better. So yeah.
Should I just add to that Nish quickly?
Yeah.
So I think in Cambridge, essentially that we had issues with our old venue and we wouldn't be able to have the same kind of level of ball that we had in previous years. So we didn't really have a choice actually at the time if we wanted to like throw a really great ball. And because it worked, we'd encourage future committees to do the same thing.
And yeah, you'd also be surprised, like in terms of the prices, it's not actually that much more like expensive in terms of like hiring in London, like if you choose the right venue. With stuff like Guildhall, that was like one of the classic ones chosen before in previous years, and kind of their prices at times weren't as fair, and there were issues like open bar and stuff like that which they wouldn't allow. But yeah, I think we're gonna close the president poll now.
There's 3 people left who haven't voted. If you'd like to vote, maybe in the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, we're gonna close in the next 10 seconds.
Okay, 2 left.
Doesn't matter.
1 final one. Okay. I think let's close them, Nikita.
Yeah. The one vote. Yeah.
So so there's been a 56% vote majority. I'll share the result. Basma, you are president. So I don't know how it works now, Martinish, with if people want to run for other things later on. So I'll let you guys.
So just word on Basma. In terms of how it's going to work from now on is Sana and Varun, you have the option to run for any of the other roles now. So just message Amartya for that. Is that okay, Amartya?
Yeah, or if you can just announce it on the chat as well. You can tell me personally if you want to, and then Nikita can add it in. But congratulations, Basma, and honestly, all 3 of you, really, I know it's hard to run for president and all the campaigning, so really well done, and I hope all of you are going to be on committee as well. We have you shared the results, Nikita?
Yeah, share the results. I stopped sharing whilst you guys were talking.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, we're running a little bit late, so if anyone does want to run for VP or any of the other roles that was running right now, please let me know soon. We're going to start with the vice president applications. The speech time is 2 minutes now, but you don't have to speak for 2 minutes. You can speak for less as well if you'd like. It's not a problem. Can we have who's going first? Aditya, can you go first, please?
Yeah, sure.
Let me just put you in spotlight. 1 second. There you go.
Right. Hey everyone, I'm Aditya, a first-year medic from Sydney College, and I'm running to be your vice president. I understand that I'm gonna have to juggle a lot of different roles, but I think I, alongside now Basma as your president, can guarantee IndieSoc publicity and also great events. I set up an Indian Freshers group chat on WhatsApp to help connect freshers together, and I also founded the Cambridge Freshers page on Instagram. Through this, I've networked with a whole host of local businesses, such as Genie, getting discount codes for freshers. I've also worked with A Van of Life, Vinyl, Cindy's, and MASH. If you want great events with discounted club tickets, through the Freshers page, I've already organized sold-out events at both Life and Cindy's. The Freshers events in October, as well as the Halloween ones. I'd love to do this again, but this time for IndieSoc, especially Bollywood nights out, as well as just offering discounted tickets for IndieSoc members. In fact, we're already liaising with MASH for News Club in town, and we're trying to make it so that the regular club commission instead goes back to IndieSoc members in the form of cheaper tickets and free drinks. As well as this, I want to work with the committee to try and do a replacement for the annual IndieSoc ball this year, along the lines of the Lawsock Garden Party. To do this, we can take help from the Cindy's One Last Time management, who I have close connections with. Also, if you want someone who just understands the issues faced by Indian students, I'm also my college BME officer. So as my BME, as your BME officer, I'm already working on creating events within my college that help to spread awareness about BME culture, and as well as hosting workshops on implicit bias for the next year's freshers. On top of this, I really want to improve non-Indian engagement at IndiaSoc by working with the various freshers reps at the different colleges so that we can increase Indian cultural awareness within the wider Cambridge community, as well as just expanding IndiaSoc in terms of memberships and making events bigger and better. So yeah, vote for me if you want someone who can make the most of a non-COVID year and deliver as many packed out events as possible, whilst also just having a familiar face you can talk to about any issues you may have.
Great, thanks so much, Aditya. Well timed as well. Okay, Peter, you're up next. Are you ready? Let me just remove Spotlight for.
Yeah, I was just hoping I could share the screen as well.
Yes, go for it. Okay, I will have to make you co-host for literally a second. Remind me to unco-host you if I forget. Okay.
Is that visible to everyone? All right, okay. So, hi all, my name is Peter Simon, and I'm running to be your new Vice President. I'm a first-year law student at Trinity College, and I'm from Kerala. Like many of you, the IndiaSoc offered me a chance to connect with a vast community of people of my culture after years of living in surroundings dominated by, admittedly, white people. With it, it brought friends, a wonderful community, and great events, despite the destructive nature of the pandemic on our plans. Society really made me feel welcome, and as such, I am enthusiastic to give back to the IndiaSoc family, and I can think of no better way to do that than to apply my management, organizational, and collaborative skills as Vice President, gained from my experience in charity event organization and working with nonprofits, to provide the best events, welfare, and experiences to us all. So what am I proposing? My general plan for the society is explained in my 3 Rs, these being recoup, revitalize, and reinvent. In recoup, I aim to emphasize the importance of the welfare of our members and plan to improve how the IndiaSoc allocates its resources towards it. This will involve promotion of more frequent drop-in sessions and IndiaSoc families to encourage general welfare, as well as targeted fresher, international, and graduate student events to ensure a sense of welcomeness. In Revitalize, I wish to reanalyze and improve our existing events. This will involve things like greater breadth of events on days such as Republic Day and expanding links to other societies. In Reinvent, I wish to plan to help direct the IndiaSoc to tread into unexplored territory through new collaborations, new events, and new ideas. My proposals for this include collaborations with new societies, such as the ACS, the Singaporean Society, and Abacus, whose presidents and events officers have expressed their interest in me following me liaising with them, as well as Independence Day events, of which the flagship will be a London-based cocktail night. As regards the ball, I plan to focus on bringing the ball back and bigger than ever. By targeting a greater range of sponsorships, I plan to return to London again and place the ball on a never before seen skies and scale. Thank you for listening, and I hope you vote for me.
Great, thank you. And I think if Sana is still here, I think Sana also wants to go forward for the VP role. So Sana, I'm going to give you a minute because I think you had some time to talk about your ideas. So I'll give you a minute to just maybe refine them and just talk a little bit further if you'd like. But yeah, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
1 second, let me just make you spotlight. If you give me a second. Okay, your spotlight. There you go.
Okay, so I'm now going to be running for VP, and as I've talked to you earlier, I have a lot of ideas that I'd love to implement, and now I'd love to implement them with BASMA, of course. So like I said, society collaborations, I'm already within the Cambridge Union network, so I'd love to further work within that network and hopefully have some really nice events with the distinguished guest speakers. I'm also, again, able to offer you the discounted club night tickets, and I'd also love to develop the graduate network, provide you guys with a comprehensive history series, welfare package, stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that I'd love to implement. Of course, even if I don't get this role, I'm hoping that I'll be able to implement them in some other way, because I truly would love to work for you guys and serve as your president. So I think that's sort of my minute, but yeah.
Great, thank you, Sana. That is your minute. And we have Varun who wants to pitch forward as well for VP. So a minute for Varun as well. Varun, you there?
Yeah. I'm there. When I'm ready, let me go. Yeah, I'm
one
now
second. Actually, just hold on. Let me remove Spotlight. This is Spotlight for everyone. There we go. Okay, there you go.
First of all, congratulations, Bossman, on winning. And I really like the bit at the end that you mentioned about coronavirus and then how you want to try and improve, especially with what's going on in India. And seeing as most of my campaign was about collaboration, I don't see why there can't be a collaboration between different ideas. And that's why I would really love to just support her and bring some of my own ideas, which I mentioned before, including sports tournaments, and return of many things that weren't possible last year, and combine with her ideas. And in the end, I would just love to support her and get involved in any way possible in the IndiaSoc, because it's just a great thing. It's a great place to be.
Great, thanks, Varun. Okay, well, I'm glad they're both running for VP as well. Asking questions is going to be a little bit harder. So what I'd like to do is, if possible, keep your answers short and sweet. I wouldn't be timing them, but because there's 4 of you that need to answer them. But yeah, okay. So actually, can I ask this question to Peter and Aditya only? So Sana and Varun obviously ran for Prez. Why didn't you both run for Prez? Because I saw the manifestos. Obviously, there's some similar bits. There's definitely overlaps. Why did you want to go for VP instead? Aditya, you can go first, and then Peter.
So I originally had the idea of running for VP alongside Sana, like as a running partner for president. We're just like really good friends, and we thought it's something we could like kind of do together as a sort of like just a thing we could do. But obviously she's running for vice president now, so it's a bit different now. But so yeah, I wanted her to be president. I could like work with her. But yeah, so vote for her now. Don't vote for me. But yeah.
Okay. Peter, your answer to that question. Why didn't you want to run president instead?
Similarly, I'm very close with Basma. I literally live in her building, and we're quite close friends. But also, I recognise the fact that the vice president role is one that works much more closely with the committee in general, and I think I'm much more of a people's person. So I feel like that's a role that I could really fit in nicely. Additionally, so the vice presidential role is one that it's obviously not as much responsibility as presidential role, and I feel like that was much more better suited for me in order to, so I can more effectively manage my time commitments, and therefore I can provide the best of myself to the society.
Okay, great. Actually, Sana and Varun, I'm gonna quickly ask you both the same question, not the same question as them two. I'm gonna ask you about how you're going to manage working with Basma, especially since I guess you both obviously had very strong ideas as well. How are you gonna make sure when you both, well, I'm sure there'll be conflicts. I can guarantee you there's definitely times when Nishan and I don't agree on things. How are you gonna manage that? Varun, do you want to answer first, and then Sana?
Yeah, sure. And I agree. Yeah, there's always naturally there's going to be conflicts because we did run against each other. But at the end of the day, she is the president, so what she says goes. But it doesn't mean that I can't challenge some ideas that she has. Oh wait, sorry, my screen just went. It doesn't mean that I can't challenge some ideas that she has, and it doesn't mean that we can't work closely, because I think those conflicts are there, but it's a good thing because the conflicts mean that there are certain issues within something, that a plan which can be ironed out. And at the end of the day, if we can work together, then that's ideal.
Okay, great. Sana?
Yeah, so I would agree with everything that Varun said. And I think like we have to remember, Basma is the one who's going to be overseeing everyone, and we're sort of as a supporting role to her. So I think I would love to still be able to support Basma in the work and the rest of the committee. I think it's really important as well to recognise that the president can't be expected to do everything. And I'm still very passionate about doing as much work as I can for the society, which is why I decided to stand for this role. It's not so much about the title of president. It's more sort of actually being able to contribute. And, you know, the reason that I think vice president is still a good role that I'd love to, you know, be in is because I would still be able to oversee various different departments and work in different departments. And that's something that I'd love to do with a lot of other people that are standing in this campaign as well. So yeah, I think that even as a supporting role, I think it's an excellent way to get involved with India society, which is why I'm running.
Okay. Great. Okay, so in the respect, I know we're running a little bit late, so I'll fill in with questions if I need to. Is there anyone in the audience, well, participants, that would like to ask maybe a specific question to any of the four? And anyone who doesn't get the second question, I'll ask a question as well. Just raise your hands or put it in the chat, whatever first will work. I can't see a question. Ish, do you want to ask someone a specific question or two of them?
No one's answering a question. Asking a question, sorry. Then I'll probably ask a question to Peter and Aditya. Either of you can answer it. How exactly do you aim on kind of building the Prez's vision? So Basma's vision and kind of supporting it in general.
Peter, do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously me and Basma, we have very good communication given that we've got a long-term friendship. So in order to fulfill her plans, I think first of all we focus on good sponsorships, which we've discussed at length already. So I have links to a number of law firms that I think would be happy to sponsor us, given I'm up for example, a diversity fellowship at a firm Cuis, and I'm up for another brand ambassador position there. So hopefully they can come in clutch and sponsor us with that. Additionally, I think a lot of work with our team is going to be crucial. So delegating and also good communication with our team will, I think, really be useful in terms of fulfilling and just really manufacturing her plans for the society and her vision.
Aditya?
Yeah, so I have connections to many local businesses through the Cambridge Freshers page. So I've reached out to many of them, and they've agreed to kind of sponsor events, especially for freshers events. But I'm sure they'll do the same for IndieSoc. And I think if Sana's your vice president, I would let her use all these facilities and connections that I've made, so she can help facilitate all of Basma's ideas and visions, and complement them, also have her own ideas and allow them to occur. So vote Sana.
Okay, great. Thanks for the answers. I know Aditya isn't too keen on, I think, running alongside, but what we're going to do, we're going to put you in the vote anyways, and then because the lowest number gets eliminated anyways, Aditya, but we can do it that way. Nish, do you think there are any other questions, or maybe we should move on with the interest of time?
Being aware of time, we should
yeah, because I think Sana and Varun have obviously answered quite a few questions already. So yeah, Nikita, whenever you're ready with the polls, let's open them up. Okay, great. 1 second, Pierre. Let me co-host you. Okay, we're waiting on about 9 more people. Meanwhile, Treasurer and Sec, do be ready. I think you guys are uncontested, so if possible, maybe just cut your speech down to a little bit more, and there's probably not going to be as many questions. Someone is asking me that they can't submit their vote for some reason. Ishika, do you know why you can't do it? Can you see polls in the at the bottom of the thing?
I've selected the person, but it just won't let me click submit. It's just grayed out.
Okay.
Is that an issue for anyone else?
I had it for a second. If you click off it, then click like someone else and then click back onto that person, it should let you. I don't know why it was a little glitch. That's happened for me as well.
Yeah, it might just been a little glitch. So yeah.
Yeah. Try that, Ashika. If that doesn't work, let us know.
Okay, that worked. Thank you.
No, Aditya, you're all good. Don't worry. Okay. We've got 3 or 4 more people. Okay. So Nikita. Yeah. So that poll is closed now.
Yeah, I'll just move on because there's a clear person who's not going to get it in the next 4 votes.
Okay. Yeah. So Peter, Sana, and Varun for the next poll, please. There we go. For people waiting, I know we've run over. I hope we can finish by maybe 7:15. Most of the other roles are uncontested, so they shouldn't be as long unless some people really are keen on voting Ron. So it should be okay. Five people left for voting. Okay. 3 people left, and it's actually quite close. So if possible, can we can the 3 remaining people vote as well?
Can I say that one of my mates is in the waiting room? He was here earlier, but he like got disconnected. His Wi-Fi is just like not great. But he was like he's here. He's just in the waiting room.
There's nobody in the waiting room at the moment.
It was Ankit. I don't know. He said he was there. Maybe his Wi-Fi is just really bad.
1 second. Let me check if there's anyone in the waiting room.
It's Ankit.
Yeah. Anke Bhattarai?
Yeah,
right?
that's him. That's him.
Okay, he's already in, so he should be able to vote. Okay, there's 2 more people, 3 more people left. Vote in the next 10 seconds, hopefully. Okay, let's close votes, Nikita. Okay, so now can we rerun with Sana and Peter, please? By the way, we will be releasing kind of the recording at some point, so if anybody wants to see how close it was and things like that, for the in-between stages, you can see it. It'll be really transparent.
Sorry, slight delay. I'll just start it in
No
a moment.
problem.
That's fine.
Wow. President VP roles heated up a bit, huh?
Yeah, it's been really close actually.
Yeah. I'm glad to see there's loads of people still here.
Good job. I just want to say good job, like for everyone who's run, like putting a lot of hard work into your campaign. And yeah, I hope all of you can still manage to be on committee.
Also, I don't think it's as easy to take it because it's virtual. Often you can like be a little bit more lenient, but they're taking it really seriously as well. That's good. Okay, nearly there. About 12 votes to go. Nish, you got any exciting ideas for this term?
Sorry?
You got any exciting ideas for this term?
For this term in terms of events?
Yeah, go on. Let them out if you want.
I mean, yeah, we've got a nice sort of like club nights towards the end if we can do them. One of them are like a Bollywood club night with Mash, and we're trying to. You guys must have seen we've publicized like our own kind of Bollywood night at Lola's on Sundays. It should be like a recurring thing as well next year. So we're really excited with that. We've got our cricket match coming up in May, which hopefully should go ahead. And yeah, I've got a couple of other things up my sleeve, which I won't really reveal.
Can never be safe with Nish's ideas. Okay, there's a few people left. I'm gonna give another 10 seconds, and then it should be okay. Okay, I am ending the poll and sharing the results so everyone can see. But yeah, so Peter, congratulations. You've got the VP role, and I know you're running with Basma, so I imagine both of you are quite happy with that. But no, congratulations to you, and also all of the other people running. Thank you so much for all the applications and stuff. Honestly, I was really impressed with some of the ideas. But yeah, Nish, do you want to say anything, or should we move on?
No, just congrats once again, but just being wary of time, let's move on to
let's go.
Treasurer role.
Okay, treasurer. Rohan.
Yeah, I'm ready whenever you guys are.
Okay, yeah, let me just make you spotlight if that's okay. Where are you? And you do have 2 minutes, but again, you don't have to speak the whole time. And I think Lila has a question for you as well. That she sent in a little while ago, so she'll probably ask you that afterwards. But yeah, anyways, go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. So, hi everyone, my name's Rohan, and for those of you who don't already know me, I'm a first year economics student here at Cambridge, and I would love to be your IndieSoc treasurer for the coming year. So I think the best way for me to probably spend the next few minutes is to walk you through the ideas and skills that I would bring to the table here at IndieSoc. So to begin with, there are 3 key areas that I'm going to focus on. These are affordability with relaxing restrictions, sponsorship, and continuing to manage finances transparently. Firstly, as restrictions inevitably relax and events begin to expand in number, my main focus is affordability. Going forwards, my aim is to maintain a mixture of online, but increasingly more in-person events. But I fundamentally believe that all online events should be kept free of charge. Understandably, this may be less possible for in-person events, but this nicely segues into my second point, sponsorship. To drive down costs, I will go beyond the standard responsibilities of treasurer and work as far as I possibly can with the alumni and sponsorship officer as well. I will liaise with the sponsorship officer to create a tiered sponsorship system whereby sponsors can select how much they want to give and receive from the society, and thus improve their interaction. Now, especially with the size and scale of IndieSoc, I believe that we could easily contact larger institutions such as banks for sponsorship funds. Having worked on Cuis's committee, I know that many banks actually have a fund allocated specifically for culture and diversity, and it's definitely achievable for societies such as IndieSoc to gain this sponsorship. Imperial IndieSoc, for example, has HSBC as a sponsor. And finally, I will continue to maintain sound finances by setting and sticking to fair budgets, making payments promptly, and keeping accounts up to date. I've spoken about my experiences with banks through Cuis, and having done a host of internships with them, I'm proficient with using Excel and preparing accounts. I've also previously worked as a treasurer for various societies during my time at school and have managed my own business in the past, so I'm very familiar with accounting. So being clear in my management of finances is something that I'm confident in doing, and I will ensure that the accounts are kept very well. So that's pretty much it from me, and in short is what I propose for the coming year. Thanks for listening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions and would really appreciate it if you voted for me. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Rohan. Lila, I know you sent in a question a little bit, a little bit longer ago, but yeah, do you want to ask Rohan a question? I know nobody else is running against him, so.
I do, but should we let Hillary ask a question first?
Yes, Hillary, actually. Hillary, do you want to ask a question first?
So my question was going to be similar to Lila, but I think I'll let Lila have that question. I was just going to say, you mentioned that you wanted to make events more affordable and that you would have more events that would, that you wouldn't charge for. But even though Ball didn't happen this year, Ball tends to be quite heavy on the bank account, and the events are how we raise money to balance that out. So with the affordable events, how would you then make sure that you have enough events that you're actually making money to balance out the Ball?
Absolutely. So I think the most important factor to remember here is that if the India Sock Ball can go ahead, then so can club nights. And club nights are definitely one of the best ways to offset the expenses incurred by the ball. Club nights have a huge profit margin. They might be selling tickets around £5 to £6, and especially at the start of 2021, with many people in first year right now going into second year having not had too much of a freshers experience. I really believe that we would be able to generate a lot of attraction there and hence a lot of revenue to be able to balance out any losses that we would see from the ball.
Thanks.
Lila?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Lila. I'm in fourth year. You probably don't know who I am, but I was Mastana president for 2020 with a lot of the current Hindu Soc and India Soc committee. My question honors what a good friend of mine would say if he hadn't graduated and he was still here, which is, but it's adapted because it's a COVID year. So obviously none of you have been able to experience events as we did, but you might still be putting them on in the old fashioned way next year. So my question is kind of two parts. First part is, can you describe how you imagine India Soc Ball to be? And then as treasurer, can you outline what you think all the different costs would be and come to an idea of what ticket price you might go for?
Absolutely. So I think that my vision for a ball, if I were able to have an input here, which I certainly would, being a member of the exec committee, would be one where we would be perhaps set up in London, have a huge range of events offer. We'd be able to have lots of we'd have perhaps lots of food and beverage, which incurs costs there. We would need to consider also overall venue as a whole. And I guess moving into the second part of your question about the specific costs that a treasurer would need to consider. So there's the venue, there's food and beverage, there's the overall content, for example, any form of entertainment. There'd be printing and branding physically, but also any type of marketing online. There might be needs for insurance. There might be also perhaps video and photography. And there are many other factors, but overall, the tried and tested price is usually somewhere in the 50s for ticket prices. And I think that keeping in line with trying to be able to allow as many people to enjoy the ball as we can, rather than trying to generate as much of a profit as possible, I would try and keep ticket prices on perhaps anywhere between £50 to £55. I think this is greatly balanced by all the costs that I've outlined before. And ultimately, in terms of trying to create a profit and overall balanced budget, I would instead focus on club nights instead. So my overall ticket price would be around £50 to £55.
Okay, great. I think Martha was on mute, but I think Martha, we should also, because he's uncontested, we should open up the polls. And
Yeah, let's open up the polls. I nearly said Lahil when I was trying to get Lila to speak. Okay, difficult one.
Very difficult.
I know, is he here? Where is he?
He's doing a master's at Berkeley.
No, I thought he signed up to the event though. I'm not sure.
Oh, is he not here? Oh, damn it.
Maybe he left.
Maybe. We'll see. I'll roast him, don't worry.
Anyways, I think Nikita, you can end the polls. I think there's enough of a margin there. Okay, I'm just ending them. Okay, let me share the results. Okay, surprise, surprise, Rohan, you had won. Congratulations. Yeah, and we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, which is the general secretary role.
We've got general. 1 second, there's a couple of things in the chat. Okay, yeah, no problem, Nikita. Arun, sorry if I'm saying that's wrong, by the way.
No, it's Arun. It's fine.
Arun, okay, great. There you go. 2 minutes. Yeah.
So in the interest of time, I'll just cut down my speech, so I'll keep it quite short. So hey everyone, I'm Arun and I'm a first year medic at Cuis. And I'd love to be your secretary for next year in order to make Cuis, to make CUIS a welcoming, fun and enjoyable place for everyone. If I get voted in as secretary, there are a number of ideas for CUIS that I'd really love to implement, and I've written them on my manifesto. But in this speech, I think I'm just going to focus on 3 of those ideas. To make up for the effects of the pandemic, I'd be pushing for many more and more regular in-person events. So there is something for everyone, ranging from Bollywood showings to cooking classes, yoga events, and multiple socials at Cambridge's top restaurants and bars. I'd also want to welcome next year's freshers into the India Soc community in a way that we haven't had to experience this year, but because of the COVID pandemic. And to do this, I do this by organising swaps and socials where the freshers, as well as other years, can get to know each other and to get to know other years through the India Soc family. Secondly, I'd like to improve the stash offering because I think that's a key part of any society is to feel part of a community, and stash is one of the ways that you can bring a community together. So I'd like to provide a wider range of stash such as quarter zips, t-shirts, and then any other suggestions that anyone may have, I try and implement that. Finally, I'd also be looking into securing even more great discounts for our India Soc community because let's be real, who doesn't actually like a discount? So just talking about my background, I've got lots of experience in organising events and running societies. As mentioned on my manifesto at secondary school, I was the leader of my school's Royal Air Force section. So I've had lots of experience in planning, organising and leading activities. And I think that's one of the key qualities that you need to be in a secretary, is just being able to be really, really organised. I've also, so what I didn't mention on my manifesto was that I'm also the lead of the school council for a number of years. And I was also a senior school prefect. So I know how to effectively communicate ideas at committee meetings and also take detailed notes. Thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you'll all consider voting for me as your secretary for next year, and I'd love to be a part of the India Soc committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Arvana, do you have a question for her?
Yeah, I just have one, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, so as secretary, your role, I suppose, isn't as clear cut as someone like a treasurer or like a vice president, but you're still on the executive committee. So I was just wondering, what do you think are the most important tasks on a weekly basis that you think a secretary has to do? Yeah.
So on a weekly basis, I'd say the most important task would just be to make sure that all the events are running smoothly. So make sure that from an organizational point of view, you know, sort of who's booked tickets, what rooms you're going to be using, because from next year, hopefully we'll have so many more in-person events. And also just to be in charge of stash and sort of ticketing as well. So although you won't be directly in charge of the money, you're sort of, there is sort of a liaison point. So you're the ones that are going to make sure that you have a list of all the people who are coming. And also, if anyone's got any questions, you're also sort of the point of communication. And additionally, as you said, the secretary role isn't as clear cut. So I think that gives sort of leeway where you can just take additional roles. So if someone on the committee, for example, can't do something that on that day or that occasion, you can sort of fill in for that role because it's quite a malleable role.
Thank you.
Great. If any, we'll take one more question from like the floor, if anyone has any. Otherwise, we'll move on, I guess.
We can open up the votes. They can still ask the question if they want, but we might as well open votes anyways.
Yeah. Nikita, are you launching the poll?
Actually, I can do it as well. 1 second. Nish, to make it a little bit faster, for all the other uncontested roles, should I just make that into one poll? Do you think that's easier? Maybe we should do that.
The general committee, yeah, you can
For the general, so there's the speakers and education is contested, so we'll do that one with a couple of questions, and then the rest we can just do in one poll.
Yeah, let's do all the contested ones first, and then we'll run all the other ones in a poll.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nikita, I know you, in fact, I'll just type it out to you, but basically just a combination of the rest. So apart from speakers and education, all of the other ones in one poll with multiple questions rather than just one question. I'm just going to end this one. Okay, share results. Nish, can you see them as well?
Yeah, so I can announce that again, unsurprisingly, Arun, you have got the secretary role, so well done. And let's move on to the general committee. So we'll be starting with the speakers and education role.
Yeah, speakers and education first, please. Can I have Ishan? Ishan, are you there? Okay, great. Ishan, oh, actually, we don't, speakers and education, Priyanka, can you ask them both a question? I think it'll be more just question based for you guys rather than actually addressing members.
So I think it's quite hard to get people to agree to speak. So do you guys have any ideas on how you're going to go about contacting people, or any ideas for certain speakers that you are interested in?
Can I go first?
Ishan, you can go first, and then Rishi.
You can all hear me, right?
It's a little bit quiet for me. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the same for everyone. Yeah.
Is this better?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so yeah, obviously it's always going to be hard to get people. I remember having a conversation with Priyanka, I think in the Meet the Committee thing, about how difficult it is to chase all these prestigious VIPs and how much emails you have to send. But I think, yeah, the aim of the game is just persistence and just carry on emailing, and just to ensure that even if you can't get certain people, there's just always something on, and that there's a consistency of talks. And in regards to like specific guests or people to invite, I have the idea of starting like a celebration of British Indians and British Indian culture. So inviting various people. So for example, like cultural icons like Sanjeev Bhaskar, musicians like Anushka Sharma, sportsmen like Nasser Hussain, for example, and hopefully if I email him enough, maybe Dev Patel. And obviously at the same time, I recognize that not everyone in India Soc is a British Indian, and there are international students from all around the world. So for that, my aim is just try as hard as I can to ensure that there's this diversity of people who come all around the world, all backgrounds, to ensure that everyone has something that they're interested in.
Cool. So,
all right, Rishi, do you want to answer the same question?
Yeah, sure. So I think, like Ishan said, persistence would be the main thing. So I think a lot of people are quite busy. So maybe one email or two, and then a few to ensure they kind of apply. And otherwise, rather than contacting them directly, if I know someone, or if the India Soc Committee knows someone in their network who might be better able to reach out to them because they know them more personally, I think that would be a good way to get like the more famous speakers. And in terms of people, so I think this year, the 2 economics talks are very good by the economists. So next year, I'll try and kind of broaden that out, go for sport, music, Bollywood, just, I think as like the old committee mentioned, they tried to do, I tried to get people in those fields, and yeah, kind of no limit, as big as I can go.
Great, thank you. Priyanka, is it okay if I ask a quick question? Yeah, I just wanted to, so I worked with Priyanka on the conference. One thing that we realized was that it's really fun organizing the speakers and education events, but often they don't get as many signups as kind of some of the other ones. What do you guys think you could do to increase that interest kind of in these fairly good and big events, but maybe not as popular? Rishi, do you want to go first and then Ishan?
Sure. So I think the first would be kind of a lot of marketing. So working with the design offices to try and get like the posters in and get some hype around it. I think if we can get like, one of my ideas was people suggest who they would like to hear from. So if we find someone who a lot of people want to hear from, hopefully that'll translate into more numbers when we actually host the event. And otherwise, like a lot of publicity, talking to people. And yeah, I think hopefully if it's a popular person that's kind of voted by popular demand, we'll see kind of packed events.
So for me, yeah, I agree with Rishi. I think it really has to be a holistic effort on part of everyone at the society, from sponsorship to welfare, to ensure the talks are accessible for everyone to come to, publicity, webmaster, everyone. And I think also it's just a way, we should get everyone more involved within these talks. So for example, I had the idea of maybe if someone finds someone interesting, they can actually conduct an interview like a normal member of the India Soc, just a member of the society. So that in that way, they can find someone who they're passionate about talking to, and then it's just more fun for everyone overall. And on the similar topic of just getting people involved within the society and getting involved within Indian culture, working with publicity and the webmaster and design, I really want to start like a weekly newsletter or even a magazine, just celebrating members of the India Society. So, for example, submitted work, photos from events, reviews, summaries of talks, for example, like that, or even like a music recommendation section from members of the committee or from anyone just to submit. And yeah, again, like star power is a thing as well. So if we can get a really good speaker or even if we can organize musical performances, we can just get people to come. And again, working with different societies. For example, I've been talking to the president and vice president of ACS, and they're really happy to work with the IndieSoc committee. So anything like that, just to increase participation, more appeal, so everyone can just join in and enjoy the fun.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'm going to open up the polls if there's no more burning questions for either one. So I'm just opening them now.
Yep.
One more little thing. There's one role which we didn't get any applications for, which was the international and grad role. I think there were 1 or 2 people potentially interested. So obviously we can leave it to the XX to kind of decide. But if there's anyone today who's interested in running for that, let us know, and we'll see how that would work. Ganesh, is there a way to like, yeah?
Yeah, if anyone decides to run for like the grad international role, then they can. Otherwise, we'll leave it to the discretion of the new committee.
I've also got a question, Ish. Can someone who was running exec run for a role now? They can, right?
One who's running for exec.
Run for a committee role.
Run for a committee. Yes, they can. But I mean, the secretary and the treasurer were uncontested anyway.
Yeah, no. So okay, no, that's fine.
And prezes that ran for VP, yeah, they can't.
Okay, so we'll have a question for publicity as well then. Publicity. One person's also showed some interest for running for publicity. We've got 2 people running already, and there's 2 roles for it. So, yeah. Okay, let me just end this vote. Can you see the results?
Yeah, I can. Do you not have to like relaunch it though?
No, it's no. It won't make a difference because Ishan's got 50% majority.
There's a 50% majority.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, sorry.
There's 50% majority.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I can announce that Ishan, well done. You've got the speakers and education role. Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations, Ishan. Okay. Nikita, you're gonna have to make a couple more changes. So I think Sana is interested in running for the publicity role as well. So if all 3 of the publicity people just get ready, and Vidya, maybe you can ask a question to each one of them. Let me just stop sharing this result. So the roles design and publicity, and now we have Raghav, Varun, and not the other Varun, a different Varun, and Sana running.
Should I just ask my question?
Yeah, and you can decide who answers or what order.
Oh, 3 separate questions. Okay.
No, just one question's fine for all of them if you want.
I'll do one question. So a lot of the stress of the role is like liaising with all these different committee members, but having to turn out and like churn out all these graphics and things. So how will you manage your time, and have you got any experience in graphic design? And that rhymes. Huh?
Nice one. We can have, do we want Varun answering first and then Sana, and then sorry, Raghav first, Sana, and then Varun?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So I was on my college's JCR last year as Equipment and Societies Officer, and it was largely online. So I was involved in managing the Facebook pages, so I have experience in that. And if you want to look at my manifesto, I made that entirely in Photoshop. It's not like a template or anything. So I have a pretty good level of Photoshop and Illustrator because it's just one of the hobbies I had when I was younger. So yeah, I think that answers the question.
Okay. Sana?
Yeah, so for the freshers page, we have to like organize design materials and stuff like that. So for that, I did I've like experience doing that. And then also for the law soc, I was in publicity, so I've done publicity as a publicity threat. So I have some experience in designing materials, and also like Raghav, I also designed my manifesto and the template that was used by some other candidates as well. So I have a bit of experience, yeah.
Great. And finally, Varun.
Yeah, so I'm the marketing and finance officer for Mastana. So I have quite a lot of experience using Canva and Photoshop for making quite a lot of posters. And one of the posters on your AGM presentation was made by me. So I'd love to create more of those if I was on the committee.
Great, thank you. Vidya, do you want to ask one more question, or should we go to the polls? What do you think?
It's fine.
Is it okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's if Nikita's got the polls ready, we can go to the poll.
Yeah, let's do the polls.
Okay, yeah, polls are ready. Let me just launch them. So for this one, because we have two roles, it's the top two. So whoever gets eliminated after Ron, and well, hopefully Ron gets no vote. Yeah, we'll get the two positions. Okay, well, one person has given a vote to Ron, which is annoying. Because we wouldn't have had to do we still have to rerun it, Nikita, or is it still fine?
Technically, the top two combined have gotten more than 50%.
Okay, yeah.
And that one vote wouldn't have changed the order at all. So.
Okay. Anyways, well, we'll give it maybe 10 more seconds. I think there's still 10 people left. If you get your votes in quickly. Okay. Ending the poll in 5 seconds. Okay. Okay, ending the polls. And let me just share the results.
Yep, go on, Martha.
Yeah, so congratulations, Varun and Sana. You're going to be the publicity and design officers. Great. And then we can finally run through all of the other general positions as well. This will be a little bit quicker because they're all uncontested. So I can
obviously just before we jump to that, obviously because design publicity are like there's two roles for it. Because as we decided that there's a lot of workload, so we think two people will be fit for it. How you kind of distribute the workload between the two, like what roles both of you would take, like that's up to you guys, and obviously up to the exec committee and the pres, so Basma. So yeah, that's what I'd like to say. Let's move on.
Okay. Nikita, was this the only way to do it? I mean, this is fine as well, right? With the multiple choice. I was thinking you could have done with like different questions as well, but I think it's okay. We can just do it like this. Hopefully.
Yeah, so with the multiple choice, we'll keep it as unless somebody gets less than, so everybody can vote. So unless somebody gets less than 50% of the people voting,
okay,
it would be about equivalent.
Okay, so I'm just going to launch it. Before you guys submit your votes, you can select multiple people. So let me just make it clear. So Tejas is running for the sponsorship and alumni role. Chandan is running for the welfare and access role. And Anita is running for the ENTS role. Let me know if I got that wrong. I think it's fine. Okay, let me just launch the polls. So you can select multiple people. Thanks to everyone for still sticking around. About 10 people left to vote. Okay, I'll give it 10 more seconds. Okay, great. I'm just ending the polls. Nish.
Yeah. So again, unsurprisingly, Tejas, Chanan, and Anita, well done. Congrats, you've got all the positions that you applied for. Tejas, I believe you applied for sponsorship alumni. Chanan, you applied for welfare and access, and Anita for ENS. So congratulations on that. With that, I think we have finished all the general committee and the exec committee voting. So let me just share my screen once again, just to end. Right, so yeah, as we can see, this is what the new committee will be looking like over this year. So congratulations to everyone that ran, and congratulations to everyone that got their positions. Yeah, as you can see, the international and grad role, obviously no one wanted to run for. So we have the vacant position there. So I'm just going to leave that up to the next exec committee to decide who to bring in. And you can get in touch with me in a month if you're like confused on how to go about that. Okay, so in terms of next steps and what it's going to look like over this term. So Easter term will be a transition phase for the new committee. So what that means is obviously everyone has exams and stuff coming up, so and it takes time to settle into IndiaSoc and in general getting used to the workload and how to kind of work with the new committee. And so I think what's best is we'll be getting in touch soon with the new executive committee, discussing next steps and handover documents. And the official handover will be taking place, like the full handover will be taking place after exams in June. Until then, we hope that we can kind of work with the new committee to organize all the events that the few events that we have planned. Obviously, the number of events and the frequency won't be the same as Lent Term and Michaelmas because of exams, but the few plans that we do have, we hope we can kind of collaborate with the new committee and kind of make it a joint effort for this term. And then by the end, hopefully the new committee can fully take over. But yeah, Ben, anyone has any final questions? Or Martha, you want to add anything?
No, I think you covered it well. Congratulations to everyone. And I'm just really excited for next year. Hopefully it's all in person and there'll be loads of exciting things to look forward to. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to next term, and the new committee is really looking, passionate, and I'm sure they'll do a great job. And obviously, me and Amartya and everyone on this current committee is happy to help for anything. So do get in touch with us for any questions or anything you have, any queries you have. But we will be getting in touch soon. So yeah, do look out for any messages or emails. But yeah, with that, thank you from the current committee. And again, I'd like to stress a huge thank you to the current CYS committee. It's been great working with everyone. I hope we can kind of, socialize more over the next year or so at Cambridge and beyond. And thank you to everyone for attending the AGM again. Sorry for running over, but I hope you had a great time and you are all looking forward to IndiaSoc over the coming year, because I definitely am. So yeah, thank you guys. Take care and good evening. Bye.
Thank you.